Hi, this is Peter with another one of my beginner's guides to model ship building. In this case, we're talking about the Occre model Golden Hind, which you can see I've started and looks pretty good so far for a beginner. There's some mistakes, but those will be sanded out and wood filled. And then there's another layer that goes on top of all that, but all things told, hasn't worked out too badly. So in my first part, I'd like to talk about what equipment you should get. I wanted to build a ship, so I went with the Golden Hind because it says the lowest skill level. Now, keep in mind the lowest skill level here is like someone who's crafted forever and has a wall of 100 tools perfectly organized, whereas my skill level tends to kind of remembering to put the top on the glue and keeping my knife from falling on my foot and sticking the number 11 blade in my foot. So I didn't have a lot of the tools, and here's what I think you should get. First of all, if you're going to do a ship, I would start with the easiest one, which is the Golden Hind. Second of all, you're going to need lots of clamps. I got clamps everywhere. And my favorite clamp is this little baby, the Irwin Quick Grip, which is very handy to have. Second of all, the stand to lay the ship in. You're going to probably want that. It makes life a lot easier if you can set that up so things don't fall apart. The toolkit, I would recommend, it's got this, doesn't have a blade in it right now, but that has a number 11 blade, and buy lots of extra blades. You can get 50 for pretty cheap. It has this nifty clipper, which you can cut your pieces without having to saw through them. A file, which is useful. What else do I use in here? I don't use the hammer at all. That's about it, but even with those things, it's probably worth buying. There's this pincher thing, which I haven't used yet, and a drill, which I haven't used yet. And a paintbrush, I'm using a smaller one that's a little big. Things that they don't tell you to buy, which you definitely need to buy. Number one is the pin pusher. Because you can see at some points it's easier to put a pin in. I went 2 weeks without one, and I was using all my clamps because trying to stick one of these little pins in without the pin pusher is pretty much impossible. So this pin pusher, definitely buy. The other thing that they don't tell you to buy is the model ship plank bender. Because you can see here that I've kind of broken this one trying to bend it. Now I am soaking them in very hot water. I've got them stuck in a wine bottle here in hot water to bend, and I leave them overnight. But even so, it's pretty much impossible. This bend here is probably one of the lower bends. I've got to bend these suckers all the way around. So I have ordered a plank bender. There's a guy in Australia I ordered it from. It was the cheapest one I could get, and I got to wait another 2 weeks for that to come. What else? That's pretty much it for parts that you need. I'm sure you could get more elaborate if you wished. The second part is the instructions. There are many, many parts to the instructions, and most of them are vastly opaque. This is one thing that you'll need, of course. So it goes by levels A, B, and C. The confusing part is that some pieces have 3 different names. For instance, this B6 part has an A name and a C name. The only way you can really tell that is by going to your parts list here, which is conveniently located behind the instructions in Russian, I think, where you can see the A20 is the same as the C2 and the same as the B6. So until you realize that, you're kind of in a quandary. The other part that's important and is buried somewhere in the middle is your color chart. So rather than tell you to paint these inside parts with pine dye, they just give you kind of the color over here and tell you to paint it over there. And what you have to do is get a scrap piece of wood. Oh, the paint kit is another thing I bought. Forgot to tell you that, but it's worth it. So, and put the various dyes on the piece of wood until you come up with one that looks kind of like that, which ended up being the pine dye. Cotton swabs are great for wiping off all your excess glue. So that's the 3 parts of the instructions that you'll need to constantly look at and compare. Things you can go wrong with. I did the long planks here and then I put in the breaks in pencil. I saw someone else who cut them to different lengths, which looked rather cool. So, like, these would be in thirds, and they're all different. So it actually looked more like real planking than mine does. I might put another layer of my thin planks on top of that and actually do that later. I think that's about it for my warnings, and I figure this is going to take me probably close to 200 hours to finish, and the bending is the next challenge, but hopefully with the bender and then the masting with the knots and stuff is going to be a special challenge for me. Good luck, it is fun, but I hope I save you some of the mistakes that I make, and as I continue and make every possible mistake possible, I will let you know which ones to avoid. Bye.